Maybe you've had a table at an author alley event at a convention and it didn't go as well as you would have liked. Maybe you've never been to a book fair or sold at a convention before and you want some tips and tricks. That's what I'm making this video for. I have a lot of experience selling books, 10 years in book retail, both large and small bookstores, time spent as a jewelry designer and seller, and I've worked at a lot of craft fairs, book fairs, and helped other people run their booths at conventions, from board games to books, you name it. I've done it. And so I wanted to share some of those tips and tricks that will help you have a better, more successful book event. Now, a small caveat, there are probably some things I'm going to say that maybe will rub you wrong. We'll get to those. Those are taboos and things that I see other vendors and other sellers doing, other authors doing, that are not going to help you sell books. In fact, they're going to prevent you from selling books in the long run over the course of the entire event. We'll come to those when we get to those. The main point when you are setting up your booth is to create a funnel that brings people to you into a conversation so you can hand them a book and sign it for them. Let's start way out here. We want to bring people to the booth. And the way we're going to do that is with a couple of things. First thing is going to be your display. How are you going to set up your booth? You might only have one book that you're going to have out on display, and you can set things up on a flat table, even with a couple of book stands, and that's it. That's all you have. You can still sell books. But if you can find some display pieces, whether it's from Amazon or going into Hobby Lobby and looking at some of the display and box things that they have in their decor section, you can create some really cool looking displays that will draw people's eyes to you and to your books. So I like to have a lot of levels. Having levels this high allows me to talk with you, and you can look at my face and at the book without it feeling awkward, or to prevent me from talking to the back of someone's head. If they're leaning over and looking at my book, I'm just talking to the top of their head. I don't want that. I want to make eye contact and work with them and talk with them and find out what it is they like to read and how my books are the best choice for them right now. So we want to have a little bit of levels if we can help it. But you'll also notice I have things set up in an asymmetry. That is to create a draw for the eyes. If someone is coming from this angle, they're going to see my booth sweeping in front of them from wherever it is that they're coming from. If they're coming from this point of view, as they come around the corner from the height of my side, they're going to see my booth. Why do I want to do that? Well, that allows you to be a bit of a diplomat with other people around you. Obviously, when someone's in front of your booth, you want to capture their attention. You also do want to capture people's attention as they're coming down the aisle. But I also want to be respectful of the vendors who are around me. If I am positioned next to somebody who just has things flat on a table, I don't want to create a wall that blocks me off from them. I want to create a sweep of the eyes towards my table. Or when they finish at my table, they have a sweep of the eyes to move away. I want the experience to be pleasant for the person who's walking through the convention. Over here on this side, I have somebody who has a really loud, very three-dimensional, tall display. Maybe they're selling pins and they've got all these displays or they're completely closed off, and I have a wall here based on how they've built their display. I want to set my things up against their wall so that there's two walls being worked with and we're not interrupting each other. This person next to me doesn't want people to see my stuff the way that they've got it displayed. Fine. I'm going to display in a way that leans against theirs and uses the rest of my booth space. I have a 6-foot table set up here, and I've done things here so you can see how I set up a booth, but also so that I've got things staged and I understand how I want things set up. I can just as easily flip this so it goes this direction instead. The next convention I'm going to have 8 feet of width, which means I have room to get out from behind my table. That's good, and we'll come to that. But you want to, at home, if you have access to a 6-foot table, set up on there. If the table's too big, tape it off so you know exactly how much space you have to display on the table or even behind the table as well for storing extra books, that sort of thing. Or if you have a banner, that I'm going to have banners this year that I have to set up. Get things staged. If you don't have a table, put masking tape out on a garage floor or on a floor in your house that you can know exactly how much space you have to set up a display, and then practice your staging. Sun Tzu said that the general who wins is the one who has the best plan, okay? Have a battle plan. Have everything ready and ready to go. All right, so the display is the first thing. When you get to the convention, get your display set up as fast as you can. Why? You want your display up as quickly as possible for 3 reasons. The first one is that you want to get it done. The second reason is because once you get it done, you can make adjustments to what you've already got going. And 3, because now that your booth is set up, you're already advertising to the people around you who you are and what you sell. That leads me to the next thing I'm going to do after I've finished setting up my booth. I'm now going to go around and talk to all of my neighbors. I'm going to find out what they sell. They are both my competition and also my colleagues. If the person next to me over here sells Romantasy, I do not sell Romantasy. I don't write Romantasy. But now that I know that they sell Romantasy and I let them have a chance to practice pitching their book to me, I know that if someone comes by who does like Romantasy, if my books don't match them, I should send them over to the person next to me to help them make a sale. Why? Because they'll return the favor. When someone comes by them who doesn't like Romantasy, they're hopefully going to send them my way. And maybe even while I'm busy talking to another person, you've pitched my book for me. So that's an advantage to you, is to know who's around you, to be neighborly and diplomatic with them, and let them know a little bit about what you sell too. And tell them you want to know about their books so you can send people their way and sell books. All right, we've got our display. That is the first thing you're going to do, is set up your display. The second thing you're going to have is posture and eye contact. That comes with your personal appearance. It doesn't matter what you wear. It doesn't matter if you prefer jeans and a t-shirt. I like to dress up in a vest for several reasons. My wife is an introvert. She likes to dress up as well because it reminds her that she's being an author and she's selling a book. It takes her out of her introversion so she can sell. I like to wear a vest because it makes me stand up a little bit straighter, makes me feel confident about what I'm doing, and it reminds me that I'm there to sell books. So have your author persona, however you've developed it, stick to it. Be that person and be confident in how you stand. By being confident, you'll have a better chance of making eye contact. Eye contact starts not when a person's at your booth, but when they're down the row. There might be somebody who's traveling down the middle of the aisle. They're trying not to stop. Making eye contact with them, you might get them to come over and talk to you. This author who I've mentioned is next to me, who's a Romantasy author. Say I see a couple. Boyfriend and girlfriend are walking down the aisle and they stop to talk to her because the girlfriend likes Romantasy. And I can tell from the posture of the boyfriend that he does not care for that sort of book. In fact, I can see too that he has in his bag all the books that she's bought that are Romantasy and a couple of board games. I'm a board gamer, so I can use that to my advantage when he comes over to talk to me. The moment he'll let me make eye contact with him, I'll give him a smile, a nod, and let him know that I'm here, but I won't stand and stare at him and hope that he'll come over here. I might say, how's it going? Good. And I might go to start straightening up my, meddling with my table a little bit. If I'm lucky, if he's bored, he'll leave his girlfriend without really leaving her because he's just stepping next door to come over and look at my books, and I can start to pitch my books to him. He knows her reading habits better than anybody. By pitching to him, when she's done there, he might say, you need to stop and talk to this guy here because he's got books that you're going to like. And I can pitch it to her again. So I've got a display. It's pulled them a little bit closer from afar. They can see my display. I make eye contact them and invite them in. When they're actually in front of me, I talk to their face. That brings us to the number one taboo, the best taboo to start with. And that is, don't hide behind your books. If you have a chair behind your books, it's there to sit in when you're hurt, your back is aching, or you're hungry. You need to not show that you're eating food. Don't sit there in that chair and hide and then only stand up when someone approaches, because by then it can be too late. You need to have captured them before they approach. I have to say it, sellers that I see who are the least successful are those that are engaging in something that is antisocial behind the booth. Perhaps they're doing a hobby of theirs. Perhaps they're knitting, they're crocheting. It is just fine if you are selling crochet and knitting, or you're a great conversationalist while you're doing so. But the vast majority of the time, when I pass by a booth where someone's knitting, they won't look up at me. Or if they do look up at me, they give me a look like, do I really have to interact with you? Please remember that you came to the convention to sell books. You invested money in the books around you. You invested time and money to buy the booth in the first place. You're there to sell. Even if you're an introvert, you have to get up and interact with people. You have to interact with people. Don't hide behind insecurities and walls of books. I say all that standing here behind these books. Well, why? Why am I standing behind these books? That leads into my next point, is I like to come out in front of the booth, and I will as often as possible. But I also don't want to come after somebody with a book pitch right in their face if it's the wrong time to do so. Sometimes conventions don't like you standing in the aisles if you are the seller and blocking traffic. If they don't care, get out in front of the booth. And here's why. Someone walks up and I say, here are the books that I have. I have these kind of books and this kind of book, and here's what I have. And what do you like to read? And they start talking to me. If I get their attention with this book and I want to put it in their hand and I hand it to them, I'm doing this really awkward reach, like, please take this book from me. Please, please, please. That's weird. It's weird. Don't do that. I can come out around, even look like I'm doing some straightening of books, and I say, well, what about this one? And if I take this book and I place it into their hand and they take it, they might not take it, and that's okay too. If they take it into their hand, they now have the book in their hand. And then I can sell the book to them while they're holding it in their hands. They're more likely to buy it. Don't try to take the book back from them. When you feel that you've closed the sale, you can say to them, can I sign your book for you? If they go, oh yeah, I'd love to have you sign the book. You just made the sale, all right? You want the book in their hand. The other reason to come out front of the booth is so that you can be close with them. If I have people all in front of me, it's better for me to stand back here and pitch to everybody. But if I'm talking to a person who's right in front of me, by me closing my body language to them, I'm showing that I care about their attention and I want to work with them. Just like you're having a conversation in a restaurant with somebody. I want a closed, intimate discussion with them. If someone else comes up and wants to listen, it is perfectly acceptable to open it up to both of them and invite them into the conversation and tell them about that. But a person will feel that you're spending your attention on them if you're standing out in front of the booth with them. So try to figure out times and ways for you to get out there and hand a book to them, to their hand. All right, so we've got a display that's caught their eye from far away. We've made eye contact with them. Now they're approaching the table. What do you do? They're approaching the table and they want to hear about your books. How do you invite them in and ask them to stop and give you just 2-3 minutes of your attention? Come up with a list of 5 questions you can ask someone walking by that do not have a yes/no answer to them. You're going to come up with 5 of them, and over a couple of shows, you're going to find out that there's one that works really good for you. My personal favorite question to ask as someone is entering my bubble of sales is to ask them, what do you like to read? I don't say, do you like to read? Because that's a yes/no answer. What do you like to read? Readers like to talk about what they like to read, and that's a good thing. It also helps to vet those who are very much not interested in your style of book. Someone walks by and they're beelining through, and I've got their eye contact, and I say, well, what do you like to read, sir? And the older gentleman says to me, oh, I don't read. And he takes off. That's not a loss. That's a good thing. You just saved yourself the hassle of having to pitch to somebody who doesn't even read books. They can move on. I have had other people who, when they look at my books, they go, what do you write? And I say, well, I write fantasy. And they maybe would make a face that they don't read that sort of thing. I might have other books on hand that are not fantasy that I can sell to them. Or if not that at all, I can ask them another leading question like, well, do you have a nephew who likes to read? Because I've got books that I think would interest him. They start to think, I need to buy Christmas gifts for them. I need to buy birthday gifts for them. And they might stop and listen to your pitch. But asking, what do you like to read, also lets you focus in on what you need to pitch. Because I have 3 different series. And my wife, who's a historical mystery author, has 4 different series that I have available for me as well for the pitch. When I say, what do you like to read? And they say, I prefer romance or history or mystery. I can say, well, I have historical mysteries right here. Then they're going to give me more information and I can kind of narrow in to only have to pitch 1 book. There are going to be a lot of people who will want to hear about all your books, and that will happen too. But if you can focus in on that 1 book they're really interested in and make the sale on that 1 book, really all you need is to know what they like to read, what their subgenre is they really prefer. Someone walks up and I say, what do you like to read? And they say science fiction and fantasy. And I can say, well, I write fantasy. Good thing we're at a writers' convention of fantasy authors. I write epic fantasy, Slavic fantasy, and cozy fantasy. And I watch their face. If any one of those interests them, spark in their eye, oh, what's a cozy fantasy? Oh, I've heard a lot about cozy fantasy. Wait a minute, what's Slavic fantasy? I immediately have a window opening to pitch them the book that I have for sale. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to pitch them the book. All right, let's back up again. We have our display. We've got their eye. They make eye contact with us and we give them a smile. They approach the booth and we say, what do you like to read? And now you focused in on the series that they're interested in. You say, well, this is book 1 here, Deathless Beast. It's for my epic fantasy series. It's about a pair of mercenary siblings who are trying to make some quick coin. A paladin who's been called by his god to become his champion while his whole order is collapsing around him. And a dark figure who wants to kill the entire pantheon of gods. Not interested? Maybe they are. Oh, well, how many books are in the series? I have 4 books in the series, and that completes the first arc of the series. This is book 1, and I hand them Deathless Beast, or I come around the front and I hand it to them, and I've got them. I've got them to hold the book in their hand. They're less likely to give it back to me, and maybe I get to sign the book for them, and that seals the deal. Oh, you don't like epic fantasy? I have a Slavic fantasy. It's about a man and a boy on the road. The little boy has way too much magic. It should kill him, but it doesn't. And the father takes him on the road to ask those that are chasing them to stop really nicely, and then hijinks ensue. There's 2 books in that series right now. That doesn't interest you? Well, I do have a cozy fantasy too. I don't know if you've started reading cozy yet, but this is about a giant who used to be a dungeon inspector, and now he runs a veterinary clinic and pet shop for magical animals. I watch them. If they want to know more, I have other plot points I can give them inside of the story that might make them really want to purchase it. Sign their book for them and do that. That's it. That's the funnel. You want to bring them in with a display, with eye contact, with questions that will get them to look at me and interact with me and have a friendly discussion about the convention. I'm going to have the book into their hand based on the genres they like. And maybe we even have a further conversation because there's no one else around, so we might as well talk and I say, hey, are you enjoying the fair? Are you having a fun time here? Well, did you see that one board game company on the other end? You should really check out their game. It looks really exciting for me. I'm a board gamer. In fact, I was a board game designer as well. That might spark interest and discussion of what they're interested in. By doing that, they're going to walk by you 10, 20 more times if they walk the convention over multiple days. And every time they come by, even if they didn't purchase a book, you give them a smile. And they start to remember you're the friendly author who always has the time to give them a smile, even if you're in the middle of a pitch. Build that rapport with them so that maybe on the last day when they still have some money to spend, they'll come by and buy books from you, maybe even more copies for other people they want to give them to. That's how I sell really well at a convention. A couple of side notes and things when you're trying to decide what you should do for your displays. You want to have some signage. In this case, I've printed off some stuff built on Canva, just put into a picture frame. Sometimes there's not even room for me to put these out, and I might not put them out, but other times I do. And that's because I've got basically very quick pitches for my books built onto a single frame. So that if I'm pitching to one person, someone can read this and get an idea of what the books are before they pick them up and read the backs of them. You're not going to have a whole lot of time at a convention to go to the bathroom, to eat food, or go and stand in line for food, because that's hours that you're not going to have to sell books. So make sure you bring snacks with you. Beef jerky, granola bars, a lot of water, a lot of water, a lot of water. If you are somebody who is not used to talking a lot, I would advise that you bring some voice juice. I'm an audiobook narrator too, so I use voice juice a lot. I learned about it in the making of Lord of the Rings. It's what Andy Serkis drinks when he's being Gollum. So that's making a ginger, lemon, and honey drink. You take some hot water, you steep some ginger in it, you add some lemon juice and honey, and it will help your voice stay limber and not get too dry, because you're going to be talking a lot over several days at a convention. So make sure you have something that is a good soothing drink for you. You don't want to get dehydrated and you don't want to lose your voice. How many books should you take? One thing that my wife and I have learned in all of our sales of books at these shows and conventions is that the book ones of a series are what you're going to sell. You do want to have book 2s and 3s and so on of the series that you have there, but you're not going to sell as many of those. There will be very few people who will come by and want multiple books in the series. They just want the first one, especially if they've never heard of you before. You do want to have those other books there for the people who have heard of you before, or who want to splurge and buy the entire series. But if you have 4 books in a series, don't bring 20 of each of the 4 books. Bring 20 of book 1, 10 of book 2 and 5 of book 3 and 4. Or if it's a local convention, having them on hand at home so you can the next day bring more books, that's great too. But if you're traveling to a convention, be very intentional about how many books you're bringing and what you expect you'll sell and what you'll have to take home as well. What kind of display should you get? You want something that you're comfortable with moving, not something that's too heavy, something that you can set up very easily and allows you to sell off of. I want a display that is going to be three-dimensional and have levels and lets people see my books from all different angles. In summary, once again, at a convention, you're trying to create a funnel of draw towards your table. You want a good display that can be seen from far away. You want eye contact that invites people over. And you want a question that invites someone in, that interacts with them, that allows you to assume rapport with them so that you can have a discussion and a conversation about what it is they like to read so you can match your books to them in the best, fastest way possible. That's everything. I'm Andrew D. Meredith. I'm a fantasy author. I am more than happy to help you with any questions you have. You can leave those in comments down below. Let's start a discussion. And you can check me out online at andrewdmeredith.com. And I look forward to seeing you at the next convention.